this same movie again. Windows and doors can't keep me in. I feel my heart underneath my skin. Stack up those dreams, won't let them go. Someday, somehow, my day will come. This is my time, gonna light it up. Stepping out into the unknown. Stepping out, oh, stepping out to whatever's coming on. Stepping out, I'm a man on fire. Sounds crazy, but I never lose. Oh, you know I'm gonna give it all I got. Do what I came to do. I'm a man on fire, and my day is overdue. This burn is never gonna stop. Do what I came to do. I'm a man on fire. But back to the wall is how I live my life. I risk it all, put it on the line, then blow it up every single time. It's a big world, I'll take it in. If I don't try, how can I win? This chance might never come again. Stepping out into the unknown. Stepping out, oh, stepping out to whatever's coming on. Stepping out, I'm a man on fire. Sounds crazy, but I never lose. Oh, you know I'm gonna give it all I got. Do what I came to do. I'm a man on fire, and my day is overdue. This burn is never gonna stop. Do what I came to do. I'm a man on fire. Oh, oh, oh. I'm a man on fire. Oh, I'm a man on fire. Stepping out into the unknown. Stepping out, oh, stepping out to whatever's coming on. Stepping out, I'm a man on fire. Sounds crazy, but I never lose. Oh, you know I'm gonna give it all I got. Do what I came to do. I'm a man on fire, and my day is overdue. This burn is never gonna stop. Do what I came to do. I'm a man on fire.
Happy Friday, June 24th. It's Chris and Mark with the NWA Exchange podcast, the only podcast you need to know everything about Bella Vista and beyond. Thanks for tuning in, watching with us. Got a pretty good little show. Let's get into it. Mark, what a
buddy.
freaking week it's been. What a
Every time you turn around,
week.
I know, that's an understatement, man. Crazy. Was it Thursday? I was heading into the office, and I'm going down 71 South. There's a guy pulling up right on me, and I'm doing like 55, 60 in the speed limit. So I pull over in the right lane, and man, he just shoots out he had to be doing like 100, man. I don't know if he thought he was on the Autobahn or what, man, but
I don't get why is that same thing happened to me, man. It's like, how I'm coming down Walton. I'm doing 45, 50 maybe, after you get past Neighborhood Market, everybody kind of speeds up a little bit down there, right? dude comes out of nowhere doing like 80 down. I'm like, how can you be in that big of a hurry, man? You know,
Yeah.
like, weaving
I
in and
know,
out
I
of
know.
traffic and stuff. I mean, just
Yeah.
like no cares for anybody else. Just whatever, man. I got maybe he had a dookie, man. I don't know, man. Maybe
Yeah.
he had to go poo poo. I don't know.
Same guy, right? With me.
Yeah, probably a freaking big old
Oh,
Chevy
man.
truck, man. Just like I mean,
Yeah.
just a recipe for death if he hits
Yeah.
somebody, you know.
Yeah, well, he went flying by me, and people are taking left into Casey's, and man, all you need is one car to turn right in
Yep.
front of him, and you're not stopping doing 100, man.
No.
I mean, it's just
They don't.
and everybody.
Everybody. I don't put like I. It happened. Like okay, so I'm riding the one wheel on the Greenway, right?
Yeah.
And when you get on the backside of Houston, right? There's a lot of roads, that the Greenway has to cross.
Right.
And so I'm riding the one wheel, and this person just comes flying. I mean, I'm using caution at every one of these road crossings, right? But just like had I been on a bike or something, this person didn't see me, right? It flies right up to the actual crosswalk and then slams on the brakes. There's cars, coming down. I'm like, you guys put a lot of faith in brakes, man. If you've ever experienced brake failure, brake fade or anything like that, you realize real quick, don't put faith in brakes. Right. Predictive braking, using the engine to slow you down. Less wear and tear on your vehicle. The stomping on the gas, slamming on the brakes, conserve energy, right? Use that coasting momentum. Predict where you want to stop, and I don't know.
Well, what at $4.50 a gallon for gas, you'd think people would slow up a little bit, but what are you going to do, man?
This diesel prices have put kind of a damper on our camping excursions, man.
I can imagine,
man.
What size tank is in that baby?
100 gallon, man.
Yeah.
We're looking at easy $550 to fill that sucker up right now, man.
Yeah. I can put it. Yeah,
it will be short trip summer, man.
Yeah, you might be staying local, like Blowing Spring local.
Yeah, go up to Elk River, maybe over to Illinois, Devil's Den. Do some stuff like that. No long trips, man. Like not this year. Thanks, Joe. Oh, the president doesn't set fuel prices. I know, but his policies drive them. So
yeah, for sure, man.
All right. Well, tell me what's going on this weekend, upcoming events. You're always good at curating this stuff, man. Let me know what's going on.
So the city council meeting, man, this is a big one. Earlier in the week, we had a gentleman on from short-term rentals, and we'll show that video, and it was a good conversation with him.
It was.
I hope we have a huge turnout in a city council meeting. It's going to be Monday, June 27th, 6:30 p.m. That's going to be over by the courthouse, 612 West Lancashire Boulevard. So if anybody's not familiar,
Monday. Yeah. Get there at 6. Sign up if you want to talk.
Yeah, for sure.
I might just show up and just be like, I want to let y'all know I'm happy to be alive.
Well, I'm going to be out there. Hopefully you're going to get out there with me. And I think there's going to be a strong turnout. I think there needs to be. This proposed legislation has a lot of stuff that needs to be looked into. And we had, in the interview, we had some good information. So it was nice to have someone else's perspective on it. So,
well, and that's the thing, like interviewing people. Like, I mean, I know some people are scared, Mark. We get a little salty every now and then, right? But I mean, like we're real dudes, so we can sit down and disagree, right? Or we could have a healthy adult debate. But at the end of the day, right? Like, I mean, I don't think that Uric and myself are too far off base, man. I mean, I mean, he's, obviously he wants to ensure that, his investment, remains the same, right? Yeah. But he also cares about the community, and he doesn't want to see this be divisive and stuff. And then, I mean, I think I brought it up last week. Some of this stuff just ain't even enforceable, man. I mean,
right.
So, I mean, we'll get into that in the interview. But I mean, that's the thing. If you guys are scared of calling in, scared of having an interview don't be. I mean, I know I sound like Sergeant Nelson or something, right? But no, I mean, like, don't be. I mean,
Drop and give me 50.
we can agree to disagree. I actually look forward to talking to people to get perspective, right? Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You can understand where they're coming from, and that's what healthy dialogue is all about. And that's why we do this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said any better. I have an open forum for people to come on, and hey, we're not always right. We're open to different ideas too, So
I'm not dead on about anything. I just have I have my perspective. That's it.
Yeah, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, hey, Independence Day is coming up, man, and
America.
Yeah. Got to get my fireworks. July 3rd at 9 p.m. Loch Lomond. So there's a list, man. We got a huge list.
The big list of boom booms going on.
Yeah. So there's I can't see it from here, but you could read off a few
I'll read
of those
it off.
big
Just
boys.
let me find the right dadgum safari window. We'll go on a safari trip. All right, so it looks like Beaver Lake, they got stuff going on June 3rd at the Ventress Trail, boats only. 8:30 p.m., June 3rd, Ventress Trail, Beaver Lake. Bella Vista, July 4th, 10 a.m., 4th of July parade. That's always a good time to go. We usually go. They throw out candy. I usually try to get photos of everybody that's in the parade and stuff. Might be riding around on the one wheel taking photos this year. Who knows?
So, Chris, I will be in that parade.
You will?
Hutchinson Realty.
Are you gonna be holding up? Are you gonna be holding up a house sign?
I'll do whatever they want me
all
to
right,
do.
when you throw candy to the kids, right? But you better be throwing me a beer or something, man. It's going to be hot out there.
You don't want to be giving me candy, man, because I'll end up eating it all.
Well, when you throw in candy, okay, just make sure.
But I should ask him. I should ask him. I should ask him. We could roll in some of the one wheel guys into the Hutchinson Realty.
I was sitting there thinking, man. I was sitting there thinking that too. Like, could I contact Rob and be like, hey, man, can we have a one wheel? I mean, He's Bella Vista. You can call that North Bentonville all you want, right? That's Bella Vista, man. You know, and like, could we get like a little one wheel group of people to like, float around?
I think it'd be cool.
It would be fun as long as nobody gets hit with a one wheel.
For sure, man.
That would be fun. Bentonville, July 4th, 7 p.m. Orchard Park. Elkins, if you don't know where Elkins is, it's southeast of Fayetteville. July 1st, they're doing it at Dark and at Bunch Park. Farmington, July 4th, Rees Mill Road near Randall Lynch Middle School. Gentry, July 4th, 12 noon. What is up with P Ridge, man? P Ridge is just going like June 26th. Sunday.
I know. I saw that.
You're like, wait a minute, like premature explosions right there. June 26th, 6 p.m. at Discover Church. P. Ridge usually does a good job too, man.
We didn't get the memo, man.
I didn't get it. Prairie Grove, July 4th, Dark. Prairie Grove High School. Rogers, July 4th at the Walmart Amp. July 3rd, they're doing it at Cross Church. Cross Church really does a good job too. If you're into photography or doing long exposure photography, these are great events to practice long exposure photography with fireworks, right? Dial it in about 3 to 5 seconds. Make sure you have a tripod, a remote shutter release, and have fun shooting some explosions. It's always a great time. Springdale, July 4th at Arvest Ballpark, and West Fork, July 1st at Carter Park. So a lot of fireworks displays, and I know the Osho, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump north. At the airfield there, they typically do a big fireworks display, and in the past years they've done air shows.
Oh, okay.
So it's cool. Check that one out too. I can't remember what they call it, Freedom Fest, I think. That one's a good one to go to as well. Might check to see if they're doing it. I think last year they canceled it, possibly due to COVID restrictions or something like that. But whatever. America, if you act right, we may let you celebrate, America's independence. Moving on.
So there's a lot of events going on in Northwest Arkansas, man. There's no doubt about that. I mean, there's something for everybody. So We got Sandfest coming up, man. Lake Avalon for the kids.
What's
So that's taking place.
Sandfest?
Yeah, July 4th. Lake Avalon's open from 10 to or 7. The beach. Basically, it's for kids. The sandcastle contest. 3 age groups are going to be involved: 6 years and under, 7 to 13, and 14 and up. So, along with that,
that's a sandcastle contest.
yeah, sandcastle,
The rubber
yeah.
ducky roundup,
You got
limbo
it.
contest. How low can
Yeah.
you go?
And hula hoop contest for kids and adults, man. So if
Wow.
anybody has kids, get out there and check that out. It runs from 11:30 to 2:30. Be a cool day to go out with the kids and the family.
It's
So
4th of July too, man.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we talked about this last week, and this rolls back into Airbnbs and VRBOs, the guest cards and guest card application for the holidays. They must be submitted online no later than 3 p.m. Friday, July 1st. So keep that in mind. And the other thing too is if you are there with someone visiting, you can have them, you bring them as a guest and not have to worry about getting that card. So if it's a family member or a friend or something, as long as you're accompanying them to if it's the pool or something like that, then there's no reason to get that guest
Oh,
card.
so that's for the holiday weekend.
Right,
That's for the
right.
holiday
Yep.
weekend specifically. And
Yep,
then-
4th of July, because
Okay.
it's gonna be crazy. So, I saw this Lake Ann sinkhole. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
yeah, they
had that
did a big
sinkhole issue.
study on it. Basically the dam was leaking, man.
Yeah.
Another leaky dam. Go figure. Oh,
So it was down 30 inches, and I did notice that when I was out fishing on the dam side, and it was really low, man. So I'd
The
probably
lake was?
recommend. Yeah, I would recommend that people don't go out there in boats right now. I mean, kayaks and what have you, I think you're fine, but I'd steer clear of that until we have maybe some more rain. I mean,
Well,
it's just
the concern is with that sinkhole is basically, I mean, it's, in my opinion, right? Anytime you have a sinkhole developing on the outside of a man-made dam, tells me that water has infiltrated the area.
yeah, for sure.
If they don't, I believe the POA, they hired an engineering firm to kind of study it and look at it. Haven't really seen any updates from the POA on that, what the findings were, but it's almost kind of like when they're quiet about something, it means there's a problem. Right?
Yeah,
It means there's a
yeah,
problem.
it is.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, do we have another Lake Bella Vista Dam situation going on with Lake Ann? Now, you've been out there. We've sledded that sucker in the wintertime, right? That's a pretty steep incline. That's a pretty large dam. I think last time I was out there in the boat, I think it was around 50, 60 feet deep when the water level was there. That's a lot of water. And there's
no doubt.
businesses.
Yeah, if you have a
there's-
breach there.
Oh my goodness, man. It's going to be bad.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But I would be interested to understand, like, they hired that engineering firm to look at it and all that. But what is the real nature of that sinkhole, or what is the real status of the dam? Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be walking. I want to be walking on a trail down there, and then one day it pops. Right?
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, look,
Anything's
I know
possible.
I got good on the one wheel and stuff. I might have to grab me like a 2x4 and go surfing or something. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like safety, public safety is what it boils down to, right?
Yeah. That's a good point. Hey, we talked about this last week, the Lake Point. I know you attended a few of those for the fireworks, the VIP, and well, it's sold out, man. Those sold out in a little.
I told you they
in
sold
no
out
time.
like a month in
Well,
advance.
you know what kind of upset me is the fact that people bought a bunch of them, then they were reselling them. I don't know if you saw that, Chris. They were reselling. Yeah, they were scalping. I'm like, man, this is just nothing. You know what I mean?
Nothing's sacred on Independence Day anymore.
I know, man. Everybody's
black
looking to
people.
hawk something. I know. I saw them just like, oh, I got a couple extra here. Give me a couple $100, of each.
Good
So
bit,
I mean,
man. Look,
yeah, I
you
mean,
want
it's
you
too
want
bad
to
'cause-
see a fun 4th of July celebration, Mark. I'll
What's
pick up
that?
some meat. I'll throw it on the smoker. We'll grab some beers. We'll start a fire out back in the fire pit. Go buy $300-400 worth of fireworks that I buy, and then have the kids set them off. Man, our street's a good time, man. We have a good time on our street, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do, man. So
Cool.
you will come over and pop.
Yeah.
You know, we're
Yeah,
buying.
sounds like-
You know, I told Gunner tonight. I was like, we got to buy some fireworks, buddy.
Yeah.
That's
Sounds
coming
like a
around
plan,
the corner.
man.
We saw the tent set. You know, they're getting ready to open up, man. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah,
be
for sure.
we'll be going up and throwing them some supporting their local business.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. So you had mentioned briefly about the one wheel. So you got that one wheel not too long ago. So
Monday.
it's been 10
I bought.
Okay.
So I've had a loaner, a rental,
Yeah.
right? Little rental / loaner from Nasty's Float Shop. You know, like I said, I sponsor their race team. I get a discount on rentals. You know, obviously got into it a few days, and I was like, after a week, I'm like, yep, I'm buying one. So
Yeah,
Rob got me
yeah,
my
cool.
green board, man. It's a
Really?
Army
That's awesome.
Army OD green.
Cool.
One wheel with a OD green fender and guardrails,
Yeah.
and I call it the Sarge.
Yeah.
And
It sounds like, I mean, you've been
put
using it
30
every
miles
day.
on it in 4 days, man. So
Well, I saw you coming down Commonwealth, dude. I was driving down. I
yeah,
saw
you honked at me, and I was like, "Who's that a-hole honking at me? You gonna knock me off this board with that honk? Don't scare me, man."
Oh,
Made me
man,
bust
too
my
much.
butt out here in front of all these people, man. You know, so
Yeah.
no, but
Well, that's
I've,
good,
like I
man.
said, 30 miles in 4 days on it, man. I've
Yeah.
been crushing it, man. Feet are a little sore, but I think I turned the corner, man.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good
I
deal.
woke
Yeah.
up this morning, feet weren't.
You're all in,
too
man.
bad,
You're in on that. You
I
know?
love it, man. It's
Yeah.
they say, you know, they call it, you know, when you're riding the one wheel, it's kind of like surfing and stuff. So they call it the stoke.
Yeah.
And they say the stoke is real, man. And I'm 100% there. The stoke is real. Once you get it, and once you're like, it's like, I mean, I rode out to Osage Park on that
Yeah.
boardwalk trail. And
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. I saw the video. Yeah.
Had a
Yeah.
blast, man. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to explore more. You know, like,
Right.
like
That's
I
awesome,
don't know.
man.
You're in the moment. You're
Yeah.
riding. You're seeing things from a different perspective. You're
Yeah.
appreciative of just being in this moment without busting your butt. So it gives
Right.
you kind of a newfound, I don't know, perspective on where we live. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So we got the short-term rental interview
Yes.
with Yurik. You want to roll into that, and
Yeah.
then we can have a little conversation after that. We have some other topics we want to hit on. It's been, like you said, it's been a crazy week, but we'll let that go. Let's
Yeah.
let it roll.
So for our viewers, our one viewer, one measly viewer. Hi, viewer, by the way. We love you. Thank you for. Remember to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about the podcast. I'm sure we get more views after the fact. I know everybody's busy, but to give people some perspective is, you know, we discussed the proposed legislation for short-term rentals last week, and we had our thoughts, but we also wanted to hear from somebody on the short-term rental side, somebody who actually owns multiple short-term rental properties. And Yurik was gracious enough to give us an interview and give us some perspective that we, you know, obviously, you know, we don't own short-term rentals, so we don't understand that side of the coin. So how do you best understand somebody? By sitting down and talking to them, and that gives you an opportunity to put yourself in their shoes and kind of think it out from that angle. So I'm glad that, you know, he was going to he gave us an interview, and I mean, like, he opened my eyes to several things, man. He really did.
Yeah, I think he gave us a different perspective. I think he did a great job with it. So we're grateful for it, and hopefully he can give other people's ideas and their thoughts too. So
we'll go into that, and then after the interview, we'll go to a quick break, and we'll break it down, talk about it, and go from there.
Totally. Okay,
right,
sounds good. Let it roll.
Hopefully this is the right interview, but we'll see. So Mark, hot button topic, the short-term rental legislation is going to be proposed on Monday, the 27th City Council meeting. We discussed that briefly on last week's podcast, but we're fortunate enough to have a guest interview from the short-term rental side to give everybody some perspective from what it looks like from being an owner of short-term rental or multiple short-term rental.
Yeah, I'm excited to have Eric Norton here. And I reached out to him earlier in the week, and he was gracious enough to be able to come on with us tonight and give us his perspective. He owns I believe, two homes or two units that he rents out. So we get the other side of the coin. We're an open forum here, Chris. You know that, and we like to hear both sides. So without further ado, let's bring on Eric.
All right. Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
Hi, Eric.
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
So this proposed legislation, it's kind of hefty. They got a lot of restrictions in there. They've got a lot of regulation on annual permitting and fees outlined. And we're fortunate enough to have you on to give us some perspective from a property owner that's actually using their own properties and renting those properties. Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and how you came to find Bella Vista and invested in this location?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Kansas. I currently live in Oklahoma City, and I'm big into mountain biking. Any outdoor sports, really. I do a lot of outdoor stuff: hiking, biking, dirt biking, as I think me and Mark were talking about earlier today. But so my family is about 3 hours away from Bentonville, and it's about 4 hours from me, and it's further than that from my house to their house. So it was kind of a meeting ground, for us to connect together and bring my family together. And my girlfriend's into mountain biking as well, and a partner with me on all the houses that we have. And it got to be to the point where my family and me and her and my sister and her boyfriend, and we just all were gathering in Bentonville so often that it was becoming a lot of money. I mean, basically to the point where we could just buy a house. And so that's exactly what we did. And when we bought the house, the idea, wasn't necessarily to use it as a profit center. It was to be able to use it to have my family together in our own home and then rent it on the side. And obviously that has evolved as we've gotten it and learned how all this works. But that's kind of what brought us to the area. And we liked Bella Vista a lot more than Bentonville for numerous reasons. Number one, Bentonville's town. And I have 5 acres at my house in Oklahoma City. I don't want to live in town.
Okay.
And so the idea too was kind of to build this retirement area that we could use as our own personal house, and that Bella Vista kind of fit, and it was close to the mountain bike trails.
Okay. We have no shortage of mountain bike trails here at all, so I mean, like it is a mountain biker, it's an outdoor person's dream to live here. And so you've got a couple of properties that would be impacted by this legislation. Is there any specifics that you want to talk about within the legislation, the proposed legislation, that you feel is valuable input for anybody that's on the opposed fence of some of this? I think some of it's possibly unenforceable or too costly to enforce. Our city does have some challenges basically enforcing basic code already, and they are kind of hamstrung when it comes to code enforcement officers.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at it in terms of the community. I mean, Bella Vista, it's a small town. I mean, it doesn't have a very large population. I mean, neither does Bentonville. I mean, the entire area is small. We're not talking about cities here, where I live, Oklahoma City. I think our population is probably 400,000 people. I mean, this area is not an area that has an extensive number of high-paying jobs. I mean, it's just not that. And so being as it's not that, there's obviously not hotel chains and everything there. It's a much different area if you're going to try to make a living there. Unless obviously if you work for Walmart, different story, or Tyson or something like that.
Right.
So I think really, though, getting back to the legislation, my girlfriend actually was going to rent her own personal house out here in Oklahoma City, and they have a permitting process. So we've actually been through this already, through the finalized end of it, not necessarily the city council end of it.
Okay.
And so from that end, what both of us have learned is at least how Oklahoma City manages it. It was really just more for tracking of what exactly is happening. Now, when you obtain your permit here, they actually have you at 2 public hearings in front of an actual judge, basically. And your neighbors within a certain radius are able to either protest or favor your actual permit. Obviously, it would take a pretty substantial amount of people around you to basically not allow you to have a permit, because at the end of the day, housing is still personal property, right? So it's kind of this weird area. It'd be like telling someone they can't use it as a long-term rental, right?
Right.
And so really, I just look at it in terms of, I've seen what's happened already here, and I've seen what they're using it for. And some of that is obviously money for the city and various other things. But I think that this specific legislation in Bella Vista is really a very large overstep, because it's going to divide the community, and it already has. And I mean, I think, Mark, you're on one of the Facebook pages that I'm on, and I think there's a lot of people that are freaking out, on both ends. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Democrats and the Republicans right now. It's like, we've got 2 parties here, and each of them hate each other. And I don't know if that's really what's best for a small town like Bella Vista, myself.
Yeah, I think, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Yeah.
I think Chris and I both agree. There is a huge value for Airbnbs in this community. We like having it a rural community. We don't want huge hotels and what have you. I mean, if you want to have that, like we discussed before, that you just go 10 miles south of here, and Walton Boulevard's got tons of hotels. So I think you guys are providing a great value. I'm not sure about some of the proposed legislation. That's why we wanted to have you on tonight and talk a little bit more about that. But what are your thoughts as far as, I know a few bad apples can ruin a bunch, right? So sometimes these people are renting out the units, and we're getting complaints, or the city's getting complaints. And I think what regular residents that spend 365 days a year here have legitimate claims there. But there has to be a happy medium. I totally agree with you there. I mean, what else do you see in this proposed legislation that you think? I know you said overstep is as far as the fees, the septic regulations. What else? The off-street parking. What other things that really stand out to you that where you don't really see that in Oklahoma City?
I mean, really, basically in Oklahoma City, they're using the permit, like I said, as more of a monitoring of activity in terms of who is actually using their property as a short-term rental property. They do not enforce it, because they do not have the personnel here either. So interestingly enough, here, for every day you rent your house as a short-term rental that you do not have a permit is a $250 fine. They have enforced that 0 times. I have a friend of mine who has 15 Airbnbs here in Oklahoma City. He has 0 permits. He doesn't even have it on 1 home. He's been doing this for 3 years.
Right.
Because similar to Bella Vista, they do not have people that can go around and do this. It requires a lot more staff. And so the first thing, and before we even get into any of the actual stuff, the first thing that was shocking to me was that they were going to enforce this in 90 days. I was like, wow, that's crazy. How is 400 of these people supposed to go get all this stuff together, have them review it, have someone for their safety inspection, and do all these things for 400 homes in 90 days? Because according to them, after 90 days, you're in violation. And that was crazy. I mean, just so you guys know, I mean, I've looked at investing in houses in a lot of other areas that we also vacation to. And Fayetteville is one of those, just because it's closer to us. I can get off the highway. Fort Smith, Arkansas is another one. It's just it's a lot easier for me to get to from where I live. So Fayetteville just went through a permitting process. And they originally had 9 months before they enforced it. They grandfathered everyone else in. They had 9 months period for enforcement. They actually extended that. It ended up being a year and 3 months. So it actually just took effect, I believe, in March, where you have to get a permit in Fayetteville now. And so that was kind of what I was expecting, is this longer rollout, because if you're going to put all this stuff in place, I mean, how am I, someone who doesn't even know how to go pull my septic permit, how am I going to obtain all this stuff? It's even hard for me to do, not to mention them to enforce it. And so, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts around the time frame. That was just kind of one thing outside of even their rules. I was just kind of surprised.
Yeah, the time frame is ridiculous because, I mean, from their own words, there's some problem properties that were being built. There's one actually on my street that's was being built, and the permits weren't posted. They're supposed to have grading permits and clearing permits and all that, and they weren't posted. Somebody dumped a deck on the street, called code enforcement. It took them 4 months to even come out and do anything about it. There's a house that's built what we call below sea level. They had to get a variance thing approved to build a retaining wall. Front window is about 4 feet from the retaining wall, and that's what you're looking at when you look out the front door. Code enforcement obviously is having challenges, even making it to homes that are actively being constructed, and then that's with residents calling about trashy sites, no dumpster bin, stuff that's just normal. And that's with you have inspectors already showing up to these to let them go to the next level of the building process. So I don't know how they're going to do it in 90 days. I think I think that they should really pump the brakes on this and start looking at what have other cities done. Also the 1 year, you get a permit for 1 year. Is it that way in Oklahoma City, or is it a couple years?
Sorry, I was asking my girlfriend. I didn't actually apply for that one, so I was seeing.
It's based on what you approve for.
Okay.
If it's a county that has a lot of Airbnbs, then you want 2 years.
So it depends on how many short-term rentals are surrounding you here. So if you are nearby a large number of short-term rentals, the permit is 2 years. If you have no short-term rentals near you, it's 3.
Okay, so I do kind of see some of that, as they're looking at this as a cash cow opportunity for the city to make, generate revenue. They really don't have too many options to generate revenue. So that's one thing that stuck out to me is the permitting process and having to renew, and it's per unit. It's not per person. They're looking at it as an income flow for them, which I say it's like if you you have a need for this, that's kind of a steep annual fee for a property owner. And in your case, you're going to be hit twice with that fee?
Yeah, I would be, and that's so that's kind of the other thing in here, and I'll just throw some numbers at you. I mean, I'm not a rich person, so don't think that. I'm just a normal guy, no different than you guys.
Yep.
Our first property to renovate that house was about $35,000 on top of what we bought it for. The house that we currently are renovating right now, it's actually not listed on Airbnb just yet. It should be finished probably in August. That one we've already put $40,000 into. Probably take another $40,000 to finish it. That house was in extreme disrepair. I don't know that anyone would have really undertaken that, unless they could use it for this fashion. I mean, the people that had lived there for 5 years and never done anything right. So I think part of this, part of the ill feelings from some of the short-term rental community is that our homes are usually the nicest on the street. I know that my first one is, and I know that my second one will be. I have another one on Grand Lake here in Oklahoma, and it's actually in the forest. It's out by itself. But if anyone is familiar with with lake properties, not Bella Vista lakes, but lake properties in general, you're talking mobile homes, trash everywhere. It can get kind of crazy. So Our house out there is very nice. It's just an A-frame cabin. I mean, these aren't expensive homes. I mean, so The amount of money, though, that I'm putting in as a normal person, when you talk about the $400 permit fee, our first house, it only goes unrented about 4 days a month. So we are extremely booked. So that is not the case for everyone, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
So some people may only have a week booked, per month. I mean, so the dollar fee really impacts people differently. So for me, I'm probably not going to blink an eye at $400 when I know that I'm only going to be unbooked 4 days a month. It's not really a big deal. But for someone who may be renting a room in their house and they can only rent that room for $50 a night, $400 is already 4 nights.
Yeah.
Is 8 nights at $50 a night. So, these people are probably going to start running those numbers, and then maybe you start to lose short-term rental properties. But the most riskiest part of this to me, as someone who's putting all this money in and under a renovation, is I have no control over what my guests do. If I will give you an example, one of my friends here that has an Airbnb, he's had to kick 3 different tenants out. They were packaging drugs in his garage.
Oh my gosh.
So as an example, the city wants someone to have a person 50 miles away. So if I know someone is packaging drugs in my garage, what is having someone 50 miles away going to do? I don't want that person to go there. I'm not going there. I'm calling the police on these people.
Right.
If someone is breaking the law, they're breaking the law. The police need to come out. That needs to be done. I mean, it doesn't really matter if someone's close or not. I'm not going to intervene and put myself in a situation, that's risky. And 2, so let's just say that's obviously, I don't know if that's a listed violation for what they're considering, but let's just say, I've got 5 cars parked in the street from somebody that stays there. Well, I get strike 1, happens again, strike 2, happens again, strike 3, all different people though, because, keep in mind, I've got different people staying there every time. It's not like I do have a camera actually over my garage, and I have a doorbell camera. So I can see where the people are parked. I can see how many people they bring into the house.
Right.
And I do this because after 4 people from my specific residence, I charge more money. So if someone brings 5 people and they say they brought 4, then I'm going to ask them, what the heck, what are you doing? You're saying you're bringing 4 and there's 5 in there. You need to pay me the rest of the money here.
Okay.
Plus, I also use it to check. My house can only hold 7. My house is a 3-bedroom house. It has a very large sunroom addition that I have a pull-out sleeper on, just a twin bed. So 7 is my maximum. So I'm not letting any more than 7 people go in there. And so my only point getting to kind of the violations is it's possible that, I can't regulate this really myself. Someone within 50 miles can't regulate this. If someone was to go out there and ding me 3 times, not only do I lose my first property license, I'm losing all of my properties.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a lot at this point sunken into renovations, which once again, it goes into kind of this separate the 2 communities, the short-term rentals versus the people that live there. And the people from the short-term side are like, wow, I'm fixing up the neighborhood, put all this money into my house. It's the nicest house on the street. No one else would have done this. And now here I am having the potential to lose, in my case, $120,000 of renovation cost. And so it's very scary to see something like that. I haven't seen any, 3-strike rules or something like that where you have the ability to lose your permit. I mean, it's frightening as an investor. It would stop me, I know, from buying any more houses there because I don't want the potential to lose a lot of money.
Yeah. The 2 units that you have, or 2 houses that you have, are they both on septic?
Yes, they are both on septic.
So what's your current occupants? I mean, if Phil in the house, you said up to 7, or what was the amount that you were getting before? How many people? How many people do you have?
The house is a 3-bedroom house with 2.5 bathrooms.
Okay.
But yes, it would hold. I mean, I'm currently renting it for 7. Now I will say, this is another thing that I like to just kind of mention. I mean, just because I rent it for 7, very few times have I actually ever had 7 people stay there.
Right.
Most of the time it's 2 to 4. Very, very rarely do I ever go over 4. It's just not very common to have that many people want to stay. I mean, my house is only 1,700 square foot. I mean, once you get 7 people in there, it's honestly not a whole lot of room. At that point, you're kind of just, staying the night, and then you're going to go outside of the house to go on adventures and stuff. You don't have a lot of room to kind of just hang out,
Yeah, right. The reason why I brought that up was the legislation on the septic for bedroom is two people for each bedroom. So technically speaking, you'd be down to 6. If that'd be your max amount, regardless of how many bathrooms is dictated by bedrooms. So that's the current ADH policy in place. So the people that have larger homes that are on septic are going to be at a disadvantage, obviously, because they're going to be the people that have 10 or 12 people with a 4-bedroom, they're going to be knocked down to 8, right? Yep. The guys on sewer are going to be able to double up, will be fine, but that's few and far between because the majority of the houses that we have out here on the east side and west side are on septic. So that's another big issue. The other one, Chris, we talked about was the inspection, having them come in and check it out. You might find that the septic tank is smaller than what the house is. In other words, if it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, maybe it's a 750 gallon. That's not going to do it. You know what I mean? And what do you do then? It's just it's a real slippery slope here. There's a lot of moving pieces, and there's going to be a lot of good conversation come Monday. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So
one of the things I didn't like also was and we talked about this last week, was the short-term. It says the short-term rental shall be used for purposes of overnight guest accommodation and shall not be marketed or used for receptions, parties, weddings, or other wedding-related parties, corporate meetings, or similar activities. You can't tell people how they can. That's on the property owner to get into the agreement with the renter. Like, hey, you got a nice house on the lake. We'd like to rent that for a wedding reception, or and after the wedding party or something. Then that's the agreement between the person leasing the property and the owner of the property. I think that's an overstep of government right there. Like, the government sitting there telling people you can't use your property, for as long as you're adhering to noise ordinances. You're not, cussing out neighbors over the fence or anything like that, right? People should be able to use their properties for especially these larger properties. Like we mentioned that one out on Lake Windsor on the corner by the London Ramp, right? It's a beautiful property, large property on a lake. And I believe that one's listed as a VRBO. It's set up for that type of activity. And so basically these people with these larger homes that are renting them out for like that, this is limiting what those properties can be used for.
Yeah, and just to chime in there, so on the septic thing real quick, and I sent this over to the city council as well. My main rental, the one that's booked all the time, my next door neighbor's septic is definitely failing. My house has brand new septic. It's got brand new tanks and everything. When I bought it, it was already like that. So I know that mine is in very good condition. His is not. You can smell it from the street. So it's kind of like, who's going to enforce that? You're going to come after me for a septic requirement, but his over there, I can smell sewage in the road. The smell is blowing around, and it's, it's disturbing me. So, who's going to regulate that? And once again, this kind of goes into the bad blood. Is like, if it's not a rule for everyone, then why is it discriminatory against me? It's kind of like the on-street parking, why is it allowed for everyone else, but if you're a short-term rental, you can't have on-street parking? That kind of seems crazy. And I'll give you the same thing that I told the city council there is one of the houses we have is a very steep driveway. When we first bought it, I was even scared to drive down it. It's down slanted, not upward slanted. Almost everyone on that street parks in the street. Very rarely do people park in their driveways. Most of them have small little pull-offs that are built to the side where they've got a retaining wall or something, but they're effectively parked in the street. Now, could I park in my garage or in my driveway? Sure, but I can guarantee you that most people, based on the people that actually live here long-term, they don't park in their own driveways, so I can only expect that my guests probably won't either. And so to think that you're going to enforce something like that, that makes sense in an area like my first home. They all have flat driveways. I have a garage. I can fit 4 cars in my driveway. It's not a problem. But then I look at my secondary house and I'm like, man, that one has a super steep driveway. No one's going to be parking in that, but nobody does anyways. And so it's kind of like, we can have all the rules we want, but if it's not the same for everyone, then it's not really fair. And then the last thing that you mentioned on, let me see, I'm just going through the actual rules here that they proposed. Sorry about that.
Oh, no,
It's okay.
I'm trying to find, I actually don't see anything. I'm just, the septic plan. So you were kind of talking about the bedrooms and the number of people.
Yeah.
Really. So my house here in Oklahoma City, by the way, is on septic. I have a different system. They have different systems here in Oklahoma City. We don't have the systems that go through the ground. Ours are actually sprinkler systems that go out and spray the water everywhere.
Yeah, and it's illegal in the state of Arkansas to do that. The lines are run. We have lateral lines that run the effluent through, and it comes up through the ground. But yeah, Texas does the same thing, and you're right, Oklahoma. So that's not. It's too bad that's not an option, but it is what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, even so, it's not necessarily that. It's my neighbor across the street actually does septic installs for a living. His company that's what his company does.
Okay.
And septic is more about total water usage. It's not really about total occupancy.
I agree.
And so when you're looking at this, I mean, luckily in Bella Vista, our water company does a really good job of tracking this data. And I mean, you can sign up for when you have a water leak, for example. I mean, you can see the water usage. Yeah. So if the city is that concerned about the septic, then why don't we start looking at the water usage? Because I bet you that most short-term rental water usage is really, really low because like I said, I mean, I don't have 7 people there very often. It's very, very rare. And then there are still 4 days where I'm unbooked. And I mean, keep in mind, people aren't generally renting my house for a month at a time. They're generally renting it for a weekend and then somebody else comes in. So I effectively have, an 8-hour period every 3 days, roughly, which statistically, by the way, Airbnb provides you statistics. Most rentals in Bella Vista are 3 days. And so statistically, every 3 days, I have an 8-hour window where no one's there. So my water usage on that day is going to be low every 3 days. And so there's a lot of things in short-term rentals that actually benefit the septic. Now, given to your point, somebody has a house that can hold 8 and they put 40 in it, then that's not going to work. But I don't think, I would surely hope that no one's doing that. And then lastly, to your weddings and events. So, venues for weddings, that's probably not going to be listed on Airbnb or VRBO. Those people could be going outside of those platforms, if somebody's trying to list their house as a wedding venue. But as far as, parties go, I mean, parties are banned on Airbnb. If you get caught having a party at your house and you were aware of it, your listing is getting removed. The guests are not allowed to have parties at all. I've had one person actually, it was a bride, and she had her small little bridal party at my house. Now this isn't, a raging alcoholic party, it's not really the same thing. But, I think there's some leeway on what needs to be happening there. But honestly, the listing websites will handle that. If there's parties happening, I would think, me, myself, I don't want people having parties at my house. I mean, there's a reason I have exterior cammers. If I see 40 cars in the driveway outside the street, once again, I'm calling the cops. I don't want my house torn up.
We're having a rager. Hank the Tank goes running down the street,
With the water usage, I totally agree with you. But the regulations through the ADH, it regulates the amount of occupants per bedroom. Totally agree with you. Wish we could pull all the water usage reports, but that's just the way it is. A lot of times when they find out they're failed, and that's the first thing they check, maybe there's a leak or what have you, and the effluent is flowing too much out into lateral lines and saturating the field. So
I would even argue that a short-term rental, most people are not sitting there for the whole time they're there either. They're going out in the community doing things. So they're not sitting there, washing dishes and stuff during the day, like a normal
doing laundry
would. Right. Yeah. I mean, so, I don't know. I think there's probably less use versus somebody living there full time.
Yeah, it's a valid point.
And I do have those stats because, when we were renovating the house, um, our first one, my uncle does home remodels for a living, and he came down from Kansas to help with the first one because, once again, we thought we were going to be using it all the time. Now, it didn't pan out like that, but that was the goal, right, at first when we got the first house. And so he came down and he was living there for a week at a time, and he would work on the house, and then he'd go home for a few days and come back, and we would go there on the weekends and help him out. And so I actually have water usage data, from when he was there, taking a shower, doing laundry and everything he was doing every single day, and versus what I have now. And just generally, to your point, people in a short-term rental don't use a whole lot of water. I mean, my water bill is virtually nothing. I mean, it's just not, there's just not a lot of water used. I mean, they're taking their laundry home probably. I mean, they're maybe taking a shower every day, but to your point, I mean, they're using the bathroom and stuff while they're out and about. I mean, it's not that frequent at the house.
Yeah.
There are some good points. The other thing I want to touch on before we wrap up was, me and you talked briefly about the value you guys are providing to the community as far as more jobs. Can you hit on that a little bit?
Yeah. So it just a little statistic that I snapped from my own personal account. Obviously, we're operating as an LLC now, so I track my expenses. So just this year, keep in mind that the renovation that I have ongoing, we're there every single weekend and have been for about 4 months now. So I've spent $2,201 just eating. So that's pretty crazy, and I'm eating in Bella Vista. I mean, Duffers is one of my favorite breakfast spots to go. I love that place. So, I mean, we're spending all those dollars in Bella Vista. Now, unfortunately, I think Lowe's is considered Bentonville, I believe.
It is.
So unfortunately, all my renovation materials are being taxed into Bentonville. But my cleaner, he lives in Bella Vista. He employs 14 people. 7 of those people live in Bella Vista. So I'm employing them, and I do about $1,000 to $1,500 worth of cleanings with him, per month. Those people are employed, not just because of me, but because of the entire community. Obviously, I couldn't keep one singular cleaner on staff, to actually give them a job. And then my contractor out at my other house that's being renovated, he's been working for 3.5 months, Monday through Friday. And I pay him $35 an hour. He has a full-time job because of me. And so to your point about, pay, and I mean, this doesn't even count, like I said, the things that I've spent at Lowe's, driving around, getting gas. I mean, just the generalities, of getting around. And then, I mean, you have to ask yourself the question too, why is there a fat tire being built in Bella Vista? Because I guarantee you a lot of these people that live in Bella Vista, a very small percentage of them are the ones riding bicycles. These businesses are popping up because of the tourism dollars. I mean, like I said, myself, I spent $2,200 just on food this year in Bella Vista. And so there's a lot of benefits. And I mean, I'm kind of interested in what the negatives are, other than I don't know who my neighbor is. I mean, because I'm trying to help the community. I want my house to look nice. I want everyone's houses to look nice. I want the people that come there to be respectful. I want them to enjoy the time that they have there. I mean, I live in the country on 5 acres for a reason. I don't want to talk to my neighbors. I mean, so I mean,
Chris.
So, I mean, maybe there's people that have a different viewpoint and really want to get to know their neighbors. But, these short-term rental people, they're not criminals. I mean, they're not. I mean, I mentioned the bad story about the people packaging drugs. This is a one-off deal. Yeah. But, I mean, these people are not criminals. They're not coming to this area to commit crimes or steal things. They're not shady people. I mean, I've sat there on my garage camera and been like, wow, the guy staying at my house is leaving his bicycles on his bike rack. Like, that guy's crazy. Like, so, these people are honest people. I mean, and they come from everywhere and they're spending their money there. And, remote work is still a thing. I mean, July, for example, I have someone coming from Oregon. They rented the entire month. and they're going to work Monday through Friday there, and then on the weekends enjoy their time. So, there's a lot of people that benefit just in general. So hopefully that touched on that enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are also paying, the tourism fee and the taxes to the city for every rental and stuff like that. So, I look at some of these fees that they're tacking onto this as possibly excessive as well, because again, you can have all this legislation and you can rake in the money, but it boils down to enforcement. And we know that they don't have enough people to enforce the existing code that they have. So that's questions I have for the city council is, what do you intend to do with this additional money? Are you going to use it? Are you going to reinvest into inspections? Who's doing the inspections for fire safety? Fire department? Are you hiring additional staff to do that? Et cetera, right? Or are you looking at this as, well, we can overinflate our budget and charge more taxes, et cetera, et cetera. Death and taxes.
I will say,
that's sure.
I don't know, actually, this was a discussion that I had with some of the city council. I don't know how that money gets sent to them. Now, Airbnb takes all those taxes and sends it. Now, I don't know if that, I don't actually believe necessarily that goes straight to Bella Vista's coffers. I think that may very well go to the state, and then the state distributes that. But I'm not 100% sure on that. So I will give you an example. Rockwall, Texas. It's a lake area near Dallas. So they have a permit. The only thing the permit does is registers you as a short-term rental so that you can pay their city tourism tax. And you pay it off of your gross revenue. Now, I don't think any of us in the short-term world care that Bella Vista gets more money. I think, right, we want the better things that we have, the more people that come. So I think everyone is generally in favor of that. I don't think us paying more taxes really matters, because the people paying the taxes isn't me. It's going to impact the person renting my house. They're going to have to pay more.
Right.
So the only issue you have now is, if they have to pay more, then why don't they stay in Bentonville? Or why don't they stay in Centerton? Or why don't they say somewhere else that's cheaper? Because now Bella Vista has this high price that nowhere else has. And so then you start to lose, some tourism that would have otherwise came. And it's the same thing that's kind of happened in Rockwall. There's just not a whole ton of short-term rentals there now, because you can just go right outside of the city and go get one and rent it for less money. And that's where everyone goes. And so it's kind of this double-edged sword. I mean, I think we're all for the city improving. I mean, we want better amenities. I mean, I would love more mountain bike trails and stuff like that. I know some people don't like them, and I'm not trying to get into that debate. But, I would love for the city to improve. That's our whole goal, right? And that's kind of been the whole short-term rental model is, hey, we're revitalizing these houses. And I know our secondary house that's there in Bella Vista, it's surrounded by just really, really bad homes. There's trailers parked in the street. There's abandoned cars in people's driveways. I mean, it doesn't look nice, but, and I'm not saying, rich people are coming in and doing this. It's just normal people like me. I mean, I don't own 50 homes. I own 2 in Bella Vista.
Yep.
And that's it. I mean, so I know that's all over the news too, all kinds of places to go with this discussion, unfortunately.
Yeah, I hope we continue to go on. Go ahead, Chris.
We appreciate your insight on this. I think it's been valuable. I think that you've opened my eyes up to a few things as well. I mean, obviously the water usage, I wasn't even thinking about that. You're not really even using water when you rent. I mean, I think about how many times I've rented and I'm not really at the rental except to sleep, maybe have dinner. Well, Mark, if you have anything else you'd like to discuss.
No, I think that's it. Yurik, we really appreciate your time tonight. And I don't know if you're going to be out there Monday, 6:30. What is it? 612 West Lincolnshire Boulevard is where that meeting is, where the courthouse is.
Yeah,
I know you're remote.
Show up early too to sign up.
I think there's going to be a good turnout. Again, it starts at 6:30. My recommendation is to get out there about a little bit after 6, sign up if you're going to speak. And I think we're going to have a strong turnout. And I think we all put our heads together we can find a solution for this. So appreciate everything, Yurik.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We're back. Good little interview with Yurik. Talking with people is a fun thing, right?
Yeah.
And we get into it. We talk a little bit longer or whatever. But I think he opened my eyes up to several things. But one of the cruxes of this legislation that I've been sitting on is the unenforceability, Mark. Like there's certain things that that a city can tell you what you can do. I mean, like we went through this when they were talking about the white fences, right?
Right.
You can't, from the city perspective, right? I mean, I can remember the person that drafted this legislation, Doug Fowler, right? I can remember him saying, well, we obviously can't tell you, what color you can paint your door or your fence, but you're in a contract with the ACC. That'd be a government overreach, right? Right? But yeah, I mean, like, did Doug Fowler, he's the one who drafted this legislation, right? Did he actually consult anybody, or did he?
Well, I think
pull this
all
out
those
of his
documents.
rear, man. I mean,
I don't think so. I think all those documents have to go through the city attorney. Was it
would think
Jason
so, right?
Lloyd? No, Jason.
Kelly.
I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
Jason Kelly.
Yep.
Yeah, he would oversee all this. I would imagine this wouldn't
Maybe
go
he's
out
asleep at the
without
wheel
his
again.
blessing.
I don't know, man. I remember those old back in the day at the city council meetings. You freaking tired, man. But what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna throw this out there, right? Is it sounds like one person drafted this legislation and then entered it for approval, but I think there's a lot of things in this legislation. There's a lot of asks, right, from people in the community. And they just threw it in there without even thinking about the repercussions of it, right? Lawsuits, the whole nine yards, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to end up ultimately, as Yurik put it, dividing our community and then ultimately costing taxpayers money, through litigation processes. I think I would really, like I said, I think I said it on the interview, they need to pump the brakes and use some common damn sense.
Yeah.
They do.
I agree.
They're looking
I agree.
I think the way he looked at this is a cash cow. Straight revenue stream, right?
Right.
Annual permitting fee, annual inspections. That comes at a cost. And now it's justification to tax people more, right? I don't know, man. I'm gonna say, Doug, I think you whiffed on this one, buddy. I think you whiffed it.
Well, we had a conversation with Doug before, and we just don't have that. There's not enough personnel out there. So now you want to have
They can't take care of
short-term
problems
rentals
on common building properties.
Yeah. This is.
But hey, at one time your house was being built, Mark. Just remember that. All right, we're going to go into a quick break, and we're going to go over to another topic. I know that one went a little long. We're at an hour and 5 in on the podcast. We got to get into some other stuff, like the consequences portion of this.
Yeah,
we'll be right back from a word from our non-sponsors. I'm actually sponsoring the Nasties Float Shop, by the way. So
awesome.
I'm just going to go into the BRB with some new music.
Good deal.
Be right back.
I don't know what you've been told, but this here is not your home. You want some trouble, you want some. Come on in and I'll take hold. These hands will break your bones. You want some trouble, when I see you, I see
And we are back from that short intermission break. Love watching those dirt surfers, man. I really do. You know?
The nasty boys.
Nasty crew. Nasty. Because it's boys and gals.
Yeah, you're right.
So, Mark, we've had a couple of Supreme Court rulings this week.
It's been crazy.
It has. People are a little butthurt about it, but
Butthurt, they're coming unhinged, man. People are coming unhinged.
I'm just saying butthurt. But first one was New York City had some unconstitutional laws when it came to carrying a firearm, right?
Right. Yeah.
Second Amendment, right? What?
Yep. Yeah.
The right of
bear
people
arms
to
without infringement from the
keep and
government.
bear arms shall not be infringed, right? And they were infringing, and the Supreme Court ruled that way. So if anybody isn't aware, you have the ability to carry a firearm in this country.
Yeah.
Unmolested, you can carry it concealed, you can carry, this reaffirmed all the states that were doing constitutional carry, right? You have, as long as you're not going to commit a crime with that firearm, you can carry.
But these states and AGs that go pushing this propaganda, they know it's going to fail, man. Well, they know it. They're just spending taxpayers' money.
It goes back to the city legislation, right? There are going to be things like, can we not get ahead of problems? I mean, it's 2022, Mark. Can we not say, will I possibly be sued if I pass this legislation?
Yeah.
Right.
So how New York said it with those, I think there was a few individuals that basically told them that you had to have a reason to have concealed carry. So some kind of reason where it was part of your job.
is because the police don't ever respond to my email or show up to my house whenever I call them. Maybe, I don't know. That's happened to me in Bella Vista, Arkansas. So you know what? My reason for wanting to,
that's how they justified it, though.
Have a force multiplier on my side right here is, because I have no trust in the system. The system has failed, man. I mean, it really has. Pay me your taxes. Let's get all these cool toys. Let's put out. It's like, real life has started to become like within city governments has become like social media. Look at all the cool toys we get with your taxpayer money. But whenever you call them, do they show up?
Yeah. Well, these cases it's constantly the same states that have the same problems, and these attorney generals, they're just weak. Yeah. The lawyers, they know it's never going to clear, man. But
have fun playing with your toys, right? Yeah. Have fun playing with your toys. But the reason that we need our toys for any of the government agencies is because y'all are out there pulling your puds and not actually responding to shit. You're an afterthought. Right?
Right.
Shit happens in 2.5 seconds and you need to take action, right?
Yeah.
Calling 911, I appreciate 911 for what it is, right? And I appreciate the police services doing what they do.
Yeah. What I think the average response time was like 8 minutes.
Yeah. Well, shit, man. The average response time in Bella Vista, whenever I called them on the non-emergency line, was like, I don't know, I'm going on too much, bro. Still ain't got an email. Nobody ever knocked on my door and said, hey, man, I want to follow up with you, bro. Not a high level of confidence there, right? But you know what? If I got to take care of shit, I'm going to take care of shit.
That guy robbed you, and then he squatted in your house and took it.
This guy's like squatting in my house, making my mortgage payments and shit. Like I'm still alive,
Oh man!
I mean, you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, there is a need, there is a time, there is a place and a moment in interactions in life where you have a legitimate fear for your life, and you should be able to respond in kind, right? I mean, that's the only, that's why the Second Amendment exists, though.
Right.
Not to mention the other half of that coin, when everything was drafted and proposed and
Yeah.
ratified into the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah.
They just got out of a series of a tyrannical government, a no taxation without representation, right? Look at the times we're in right now, bro.
Yeah.
Do you feel you have representative government?
No.
I mean, after
No.
the past 5 years, I can tell you, these people don't represent me. They don't give two shits. They hate me. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's how I feel. You know, they don't give two craps about me. They care about a false idol, ideology, the whole 9 yards. You know, the stuff that's biblical, right?
Yeah.
Things of this world versus the moral high ground of actually upholding biblical, moral, right things for society. If you're not Christian, fine, don't be Christian, right? But you cannot disagree with the fundamentals for society when it comes to loving your neighbor, being a good neighbor, right? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, right?
Right.
Not coveting not wanting to take people's properties, right?
Yeah.
Not laying it down in bed, committing adultery, right?
Yep.
These are all fundamental things that, you know, people should be doing in their everyday life, right?
Yeah.
What they it's a free for all. I mean, like the 2022, the world of free for alls. No accountability, no consequences.
Yeah.
It's a free for all. It's Sodom and Gomorrah in my mind.
It's like the
Sodom and Gomorrah.
the Wild West, man. Hey, you know what blew me away about the Supreme Court case with that and with the state of New York with the concealed carry was the fact that it wasn't 9-0. It was 6-3. It was.
I know. We still have like I don't know how clear is shall not be infringed, but it's still, you know, still split. Should have been unanimous, man. I mean, like, but this tells me that ideological views have infiltrated every institution in this country.
There's no doubt.
I know we're getting on somebody's radar. Hi, Greg at Homeland Security. Good. You know, glad. Thanks for subscribing. He's actually watching too, man. We got 2 views. You know, Greg, love you, bro. Most of this stuff is just conjecture, though. Don't worry about me. All right. But what I'm saying is, it is like, you know, how can you inject your ideological view into governance rulings, like from a legal perspective? And we know this happens. This happens all the time, bro. You know, like a judge has a bug about this guy that's on the case, right? Because he's like, you know, talk smack about him on Instagram. Right. I'm gonna rule. I mean, like, this happens. We've seen this. Right. Why? Like, my thing is like, at what point do you get out of this abusive relationship with them? Yeah. You know, I mean, like, next time they're gonna do it right. You know, I mean, like, the government has shit the bed for 2.5 years, 3 years, right? But they got it right this time, right? Like, blind faith is blind faith, man. And if you want to be that person, I think healthy skepticism is what's really needed right now. Common sense isn't common. I think it's becoming more common. People are waking up. But, like, you get into this Roe v. Wade stuff that just happened today, right? Oh my goodness, man! Trigger alert! Trigger alert! Right? People are
my problem with that.
Their shit over this.
Yeah, well, people are going on social media and screaming, yelling about rioting, and I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's craziness, man. People are just losing their minds. You know,
I mean, like, this is what was the one I saw earlier, man? It was like man, this lady in Bentonville. What was her name, man?
I don't
find this.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
I'm finding this. I got to find this one real quick. Stephanie Funk. You ready for this?
Let me see. I think I know who this is. Who is
Do
it?
you?
I
Give me a
might.
second. I'll pull it up the web share, brother. I can get it real quick. Come on. Load. All right. Up here. And where's our web share? Web share. Oop. Here we go, buddy. Loading. Turn the volume on.
So, if you are maybe not feeling
Oh,
great
yeah,
about
that
your
is
rights
Stephanie.
after
That's
today's
from-
Supreme Court
yeah.
decision,
I
and you
do
feel like
know
you want to
she-
gather in solidarity with other local advocates and activists and champions for women's rights, we'll be doing that at the Bentonville Square at 5:30 today. Would love to have you there. And we're just going to get together and support each other and save space for each other. So 5:30 today, Bentonville Square. See you there.
Now,
No
don't pay
effing
attention to
mission.
the key support
Oh,
team
hold on.
member or
No effing mission. No nothing, right? Like, we're just come out here and stand in solidarity for women's rights. Were you doing that while women were getting pummeled by men in the MMA ring or beat in, Olympic sporting events? Were you doing that? Right?
Yeah. Well,
Or are you just really pissed that you want to stand up for, women's? When the Supreme Court justice that was just nominated can't define what a woman is, right?
yeah.
I'm sorry. We're gonna, you know what? Shit, man. Let's open up the phone line. If you got something to say,
We've
well,
had
say
my
it.
thing is the ones I was seeing was, I mean, people were calling for going to rural communities and calling for
Yeah.
riots and stuff.
Mhm.
That stuff is, listen, I don't care if you want to go and express yourself, but don't do it violently and
Yeah,
don't
what was the
destroy
one-
public property. And
I'll read this one, man. This one's.
I mean, there's some
insane,
crazy
brother.
stuff going out there.
Yeah, there
man.
was on Reddit, man. The radical Christians are found in the rural areas. Their towns are defenseless. They have almost no cops, and they're firemen and volunteers. They have to borrow cops and firemen. You know who had to borrow cops? Minneapolis. Right?
They had to
just
what?
saying that Minneapolis had to borrow cops because of their whole, F the police.
Oh, okay.
Legislation from the city. But you know what? Whatever. This person is just so off on
Crazy.
whatever. Right?
But
They have to
they're
borrow
saying-
cops and firemen from neighboring jurisdictions miles away in order to handle anything big. And they think that they're safe out there. Forget burning cities. Cities are on our sides. It's time for rural areas to feel the heat. People are posting about this on the internet, right? Calling for actively coming into our communities
inciting violence.
to incite violence, right? Over
Yeah.
this Roe v. Wade thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. I guarantee you. Well, here it goes. You show up 100 deep in every rural town in a 50-mile radius, intent on revolution. You'll crash their system and make them pay. This
Man, what
person
the-
is a
psycho.
nut job.
Yeah.
Nut job. Hello, FBI. Are you monitoring Reddit? Right, you're monitoring our podcast, but you're not actually doing about shit about a potential red flag that I might be seeing over here, right? But I don't know. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
The left.
That's just
Merrick Garland saying, "Well, this is a tragedy." Joe Biden, the 1% of people that get raped and have to carry a baby to full term, right? I'm so sick of the hypocritical shits, man, in this country. I really am.
Yeah.
Make sure you call in if you're watching 479-202-4053. I know I sound scary. Mark sounds scary. Or high.
So
or
the
tired.
abortion regulation in Arkansas strictly forbids abortions, and I think it was what I read was only for abortion would be done only if it was medically necessary. Or in other words,
Right. A doctor can
person-
deem it
it was
medically
life and death.
necessary.
Yeah.
Or, the whole rape, I got raped and I have to carry a baby for there are medical options, within 20 24 to 48 hours of being raped that can ensure that it won't happen, right?
Right.
Not against that. Not against that at all, man.
Yeah.
But what I'm against is people using this as a form of contraception because, back in the day, in the Army, we always said, man, use that latex unless you want to lose your paychecks, right? Use that latex unless you want to lose your paychecks, right? Wrap it up, double bag that sucker, man. I'm telling you, man, but we got to teach this to people, right? It's sad that in 2022 we have to teach people that there are consequences for having unprotected sex.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, it's a free for all out there, man.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't mind when people want to go out and do that stuff. It's just that when people like that incite violence, man, and in this day and age, it can get sideways real quick.
AOC, man, you got a congressional person, man, calling for people to get in the streets, right?
Yeah.
Never mind the insurrection that happened. Get in the streets, right?
Yeah.
They're going through hearings over the insurrection of January 6th. Get in the streets, though, and threaten government people. Right? Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
The hypocrisy.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting the woman's right, but at the end of the day, the woman has a right to not open her legs. This is not a form of contraception.
Yeah.
These are one-off rare cases.
So the other thing I've seen happen now too is all these companies are saying, hey, to their fellow employees, we'll fly you to a state that will allow you to have your abortion and
yeah, that's good for tax. That's good for taxes and tax write-offs and what is it? Oh yeah, profits, right? Good for profits, right? Shareholders supplementing.
So I don't know how
birth
that
control.
Will work. I guess someone has a problem here and wants to get it done and just fly to.
I've never seen somebody so many people, Mark, intent on you remember that talk that your dad had with you and your mom, right? You put your dinky in some stinky, you may come out with a binky, right? She may get pregnant, right? You put your dinky in some stinky, you may come out with a binky, right?
I don't think quite had that rhyme, but I like it.
You know what I'm saying, though, right, man? You do it, there's probably going to be a binky in your life, little baby, right?
Yeah.
It's like, are people not having these conversations with young teens? Don't have sex before marriage, right? They're not having that because why? The woke ideology says you can do whatever you want at 5. You can mutilate your genitals. You can do whatever you want, right?
Right. Yeah.
Can't buy a gun till you're 21 now, but cigarettes, alcohol, 21. But you know what? You can make a life-altering decision at age 5.
Yeah. I just did. I did see that the. COVID vaccine approval, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're?
No. Well, we're just talking about you want to transition at age 5, you can transition, right? But yeah, the whole it's for the children.
Your brain's not even.
It's for the children. It's for the children, right? Gun safety for the children,
right?
But murdered children, we need to have access to make sure children aren't ever born.
Right.
And then the flip side of the coin is the FDA is like, well, we're going to ban a specific manufacturer of vaping products, which has helped a lot of people get off of tar and, whatever, Juul. That happened this week as well.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Right? A specific one single company. Here goes, pay me. This is mob shit, man. But you know what? Pay me. but it's for the children. But the FDA says green lighting, mRNA vaccines to children. I mean, you can't make this shit up. It's like the pendulum of idiocracy, man. It really is.
I know. Every time you turn around, there's something.
It's craziness, man. I went off the merry-go-round of clown world. Man.
I just don't. Here's what I don't understand.
Back to normal? Can we just establish?
I don't think there's any baseline for normal anymore after these 2 years of this stuff. But what we know now with the COVID vaccines, and I have friends and family, they're struggling with all kinds of issues with it. So why would you agree to do an approval in a vaccine for a small child like that, knowing what we know now?
We got a phone call coming in. Here we go. Hey, you got to turn down the volume on whatever you're listening to.
But now,
a little bit of
COVID
echo. I'm have to mute
vaccine, I have
you.
friends and family, they're struggling with all kinds of issues with it.
Turn down your
So
volume.
why would you agree to do an approval in a vaccine for a small child like that? No one
Screwing with this, bro?
How's that now?
Yeah.
Hey, who is this?
Well, I feel sorry for you guys. I mean, and nobody called you.
Oh, I appreciate the call. What can we do for you tonight?
Well, how about on the gun legislation, the Supreme Court's gun ruling? You know what causes all of the issues pertaining to guns. I mean, in addition to all these fools that go out and want to shoot up things, but you see this guy that he straps an AR-15 or a bazooka or whatever over his shoulder, and he walks into Walmart
That's happened
some other
in,
location,
Missouri, believe it or not.
and he gets upset because somebody is infringing on his Second Amendment right. That's what causes a majority of these problems. The guy that walks down the street with a gun strapped on his hip, for what reason? He could conceal it, he could hide his gun, and not be a problem. But he wants to show. He wants to make a showing. He wants to be challenged by law enforcement so that he can expound on his constitutional right, on his Second Amendment right to
That's true.
to carry
He
a firearm.
knows that somebody is going to get
all
like,
of the
fearful.
issues that we seem to have with gun control is all precipitated by some nut.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and it's not the normal, though. It's not the normal. People are going to do what they want to do.
I hear myself in the background there.
Yeah, you got to turn the volume down.
And that creates a lot of issues. That always creates issues with people who are not have no interest in guns. But I had a friend. He fixed up an Army Jeep, and he found this company down in the southern part of the state that manufactures a 30 caliber machine gun to go on his Jeep, and it runs off of propane. So, and it's got a realistic ammo belt in the machine gun, and of course the propane makes it sound like a real gun firing, but nothing's come out of it. And he drove around forever here in Northwest Arkansas in the Rogers area, and was never one time stopped by a policeman and law enforcement of any kind, and inquired if the gun was real, or expressed any concern about him driving around in that Jeep with this gun mounted on the turret on the back of the Jeep. And finally he encounters a guy one day who is just all beside himself because he has this replica of a gun mounted on this Army Jeep that he has restored. No problem, but he encountered a person who was just strictly, totally upset about it. He just kind of brushed the guy off, and of course he was kind of the individual who handled matters like that without any problem. But again, that's what creates all of the issues that we have with guns. Never are they created by a legitimate concealed carry holder.
No, it's always created by the fringe. It's a one-off, something that's not normal. When you think about how many guns we have in this country, right? It's not a normal from just numbers, right? Like you think about, we got more guns in this country than we do have citizens, right? And it's a very small percentage of actual shootings in the grand scheme of things. So it's a drop in the bucket, but we want to legislate on that. But then you look at the Biden administration talking about, access to health care for women today, right? And, Biden up there at the podium talking about, a woman that has to carry a rapist baby. And this is just such a sad day in history, right? But those are like 0.01% of the actual abortion reasons, right? So let's take the fringe and turn it into an issue. And it's all political spin is what my view. It's all political spin.
In the abortion area, I saw an interview of the parents of a baby not too long ago, and where this baby was previously diagnosed, or in the womb was identified as being, whenever it was born, it was going to be so totally deformed that it could only live just a short period of time. And the couple was, they were advised to abort the baby, and they chose not to. Well, come to find out, it was a misdiagnosis. And when the baby was born, it was a perfectly healthy baby. And they're looking at this baby and saying, what would have happened? Look at what would have happened had we had followed the advice of our doctors previously. What would have happened? Look at this.
Something similar happened to me with my, I have a lot of people don't know, I have a daughter from a previous marriage whenever I was in the Army. They told me that my daughter had Down syndrome, and they gave us the option, right? Perfectly healthy, normal. I mean, well, she got her head up her butt, but like most, 21, 22-year-olds, perfectly healthy, right? And so had I taken the advice of the medical professional at that time, right, probably wouldn't be in this world. Let's put our trust in God and let God guide us and do the right thing for humanity. I mean, there's no guarantees in life. That's where I'm going, right? There's no guarantees in life. We're here for a moment in this flesh. Let's do the right thing by everybody that we live with.
Well, the medical profession is like the gun carrying, the individuals who carry guns. The medical profession, they make a mistake, but it's not very often. I mean, we all can remember amputated the wrong leg from this gentleman. I mean, I remember that particular story, but as I said, they make mistakes. Very few responsible gun carrying individuals or individuals who have an interest in firearms, do they make mistakes? Occasionally, but not very often. All of these mistakes are group of the kooks, for lack of a better term to call them. And we're dealing with the same thing on the gentleman that you just interviewed just a short time ago on the short-term rentals. We got the same situation there. We are looking at punishing a group of business operators in Bella Vista for the mistakes or for the problems created by just a few.
And we already have. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Not a fringe group, just a few, just a couple, 3 or 4. There's not very many that this happens. But
99% of the VRBO owners in Bella Vista probably are operating within the guidelines of this anyway, right? Other than like the annual, like that's the thing that I didn't disliked about it was the annual fee, right? Hearing that Oklahoma City has upwards of 3 years, I'm sure if we looked into Fayetteville's regulations, right? Because like somebody, the person that drafted this, looked at this as a cash cow, and it's like when you've got those hungry eyes, right? And you're like, this is an opportunity for a revenue stream. But then the flip side of the coin is we don't have enough people to do, to patrol all the properties in Bella Vista. Like, because I've heard that from the same city council member, right? At one point, your house was being built, man. So you have to realize, right? Like, don't give me that bullshit excuse, right? Where's the problem? The problem is we don't have enough staff to monitor the development in Bella Vista as it stands. Now you're asking for legislation to impose a charge, a potential fine, and then on top of it, where's that money going to? Are you going to hire more code enforcement people to augment this new legislation? Like, where's the forethought on this? No, it's a revenue stream. Nobody's talked about hiring additional code enforcement officers with the money that has been proposed and offset for this. So it's a cash grab. Right.
Well, they're going to have to hire more people because it's already been proposed that they will have to hire more people because
they should already have hired more people before. They have 3 code enforcement officers right now, if I understand properly. Right? There's one on the east, there's one central, and there's one on the west. They can't fulfill the need now, so they have to hire more regardless.
Well, that same point was brought up by this same councilman previously that they're overworked. They're all good people. They're all hardworking people, and no one has ever challenged that. They are the people that are at community development are good people.
But the people that are complaining about problems are good people too. And like his rebuttal to that, I'm sorry, it pissed me off. Like whenever I was at that city council meeting, it pissed me off. Like, you can make excuses, but I pay taxes for services. And I don't expect 4-month turnarounds on like immediate. I want action. I pay taxes. I don't complain a lot. I want action when there's a problem.
Well,
case in point, same property where the deck was at, they started pouring, cutting footings. I'm going to city council meeting to talk about this on Monday. Started cutting and pouring footings for a foundation, right? You think there's a permit posted? Nope.
No,
right?
We had a discussion a few weeks ago too. I mean, it's just hard to follow through.
Keep shit in the bed, though. Keep shit in the bed.
Just let it back up, and the lack of response that you got to a complaint that you made. I know that I got the same failure to respond. I called in a complaint, and no one ever responded. So, but that is all the that is all the responsibility of our mayor. That's his. Those departments report to him, not to the city council.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean that's where the buck stops, and
it all rolls up to the mayor. Yeah,
and that's where when you have an engaged mayor and somebody who actually gives a crap, I'm telling you, man, I might be throwing a party at my house, man. Whenever he's out of office, I'm not lying. I'll be like, hey, you know what? I don't own a VRBO, so I can have a party in on-street parking. I mean,
I got to tell you, there are some parts of this proposed legislation that are good, that are necessary, and are good. But still, yet it's picking on a particular group of businesses.
It's pitting one group another, and so with Urich's interview, and he opened my eyes to that. It's pitting one group against another, and then he actually did a follow-up email, and there was 14 states, I believe, that he talked about in his email that have actually had to roll back legislation on VRBO because it was infringing. It was a constitutional infringement on property rights, and so that's where I say pump the brakes. Can we do this in a common sense perspective and not be a thorn in somebody's side?
Could I get a phone number for him, because I'd like to talk to him. He has some information that I would like to acquire, or some contacts or some sources that I need to.
I'm assuming this is Jerry.
Yeah, well, you're right.
Okay. Well, I don't have caller ID on the Skype for the podcast, but I'm assuming this is Jerry. I know who I've heard the voice a few times before. But yeah, we can definitely get you in touch with him.
That's okay. But
that's what we told them too. Is we have city council members who watch this podcast, and they want input, they want feedback, and so this is a perfect opportunity.
Exactly, and back to kind of a point you made about the complaints from the city council. You can see how much ground I've gained on some of my complaints regarding issues.
Yeah,
and which has been very little. I mean, sometimes I really wonder about the support that I have sometimes from my fellow council members, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop. I'm going to continue to deal with issues or pursue issues that I feel are in the best interest of the people of Bella Vista.
Well, you're a diamond in the rough when it comes to politicians, man. It really does.
Yeah. It's an admirable thing to do too.
If you say you're going to do something, and that's one thing that I tell everybody whenever I talk about you, is Jerry said he was going to do it. He's going to bring it up. I mean, that's you're authentic. You really are.
Well, the only thing you have done in your day is your name.
If you go back and look at October of last year, there's a video. Kevin Dooley's got a copy of it. In fact, I can even email the link to you. In fact, I'm going to do that. Probably should have already done so. But it is a video of the October meeting in which Councilman Fowler gave a very passionate speech on his objections to a business licensing ordinance that I had proposed. And that was a mistake. I will say so right now. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have proposed that business licensing ordinance, and I'm not going to pursue it any further. It's been tabled, and that's where it will die. I'm not going to pursue it any further. I do believe at some point in time that some type of a business registration ordinance is necessary in Bella Vista simply for the purpose of identifying, just simply knowing what businesses we've got in Bella Vista. We've got so many vending businesses. We've got so many home-based businesses in Bella Vista that are important and businesses to the economy of Bella Vista. And I think we somehow
I can tell
need
you
to
right now, sir. NWA Exchange podcast is not going to register as a damn business. So, just telling you, all right?
Well, and that's okay. I'm not sure that you would be classified as a business. You're not generating income. I don't, unless Ray could be.
Am I not? I don't know.
Oh yeah. But anyway, I think there is such a need. But if the people don't think there's such a need, then by golly, we don't need that. We don't have a need. But anyway, if you look at his very passionate speech about why we don't need it, then everything that he pointed out in that particular speech applies to this short-term rental ordinance.
Yeah. Well, and it's hypocrisy. You know, it's an opportunity to grab cash, create a revenue stream, and that's what I saw it for. And you know, this should be a no-impact, common sense process. You know, and it should align with other cities that are successful in implementing policy. It tells me that there was no research done. It was just a fly-by-night idea. You know, looking at it's piecemealed and fly-by-night idea. So you know what? Heart goes out to the guy for effort, but you whiffed on it. You know, and I said that during the podcast. I'll say that on Monday. You know. But we're almost 2 hours in on the podcast, and we got to cut it. I appreciate you calling in there, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Jerry.
Well, I'm not sure I appreciate being, just cut off here, all this like this, but I mean, hey.
2 hours, man. We got limited time span that we can do this in.
But if I'm going to be cut off, I can't think of any better opportunity to be cut off than this. But anyway, I got more things to say, but I'll say them later. Take care.
You guys have a sir.
Take care, Jerry. Bye.
You got it. Take care.
Bye-bye. Well, Mark, that didn't go as expected, but we got a phone call, right?
Yeah.
Didn't want to cut him off. I mean, we're 2 hours in though.
Yeah.
So you know what? I think we're just gonna call it a show. We hope that everybody has a happy and productive and a healthy week coming up.
Yeah, everybody have a great weekend.
Make sure you show up Monday, the 27th. The city council
we'll be there
to voice your opinion. We'll be there.
I want to see thousands of people.
I want to see everybody at Bella Vista. I want to see everybody. I want everybody to make their voices heard, regardless of what stance you have. Show up.
Yep.
Show up.
Sign the sheet, and if there's no sheet there, ask them where it is.
And if they say, well, you showed up at 6:23 and we took the sheet up, make sure you ask for the sheet when you walk in, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, look, this is what it's about, is engaging in the civic process and airing your grievances. And everybody needs to be comfortable with engaging their civic leaders. Period.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree.
All right. Till then, y'all stay frosty. Hang loose. And,
have a great weekend, everybody.
We'll catch you later. See ya. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm not afraid to take a stand. Everybody, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm. Whatever